Hello everyone. I'm sure you know who my favorite characters are. You've seen them on some of my posts, you've seen them on my profile and banner, they're even on my welcome post over on Reddit. Yes, it is an unusual selection, but they're my favorites. And in this video, I'd like to talk about why I like these characters. And I will talk about them in a random order. I will talk about where the character is from, how I was introduced to the character, and what I like about the character. With all that said, let's begin. I'm going to start with Filbert. He's a squirrel. Likely because at the time of making this video, I've been excited and waiting for the New Horizons update. Filbert is from the Animal Crossing series. He has been in every game, but not the movie. April 14th, 2001 is when the first Animal Crossing game was released, meaning that was Filbert's debut. Filbert is a lazy squirrel villager who can randomly move into the player's towns, or island if you play New Horizons. And I was actually introduced to Filbert in two ways. I had played like 4 different Animal Crossing games and somehow never knew about Filbert. The first time I saw Filbert was from his amiibo card, which I still have by the way. Also, it was my sister's card originally, but yeah. That was the first time I saw him, but I don't think I or my sister used his card. Now years later, 2 months after New Horizons was released, I got the game and it became one of my favorites. But at some point in the game you have to make furniture for 3 animals moving into your island. Now it could be random unless you find an animal on a mystery island. In my case, I already knew Anacotti was moving in because I found her on a mystery island. As for the other 2, they were a mystery. Once the furniture was made, I looked at the signs on the plots to see who was moving in, and guess who one of them was? It was Filbert. The other one was Gladys, in case you wanted to know. But yeah, Filbert was one of the random villagers I got, and he's still on my island to this day. So why is Filbert my favorite? Well, the more I played New Horizons, the more I realized just how silly Filbert was. Like, each time I talked to him in the game, he would just say stuff that would make me smile. Whenever I play the game, I try my best to talk to Filbert and see what he has to say. My favorite thing he said in the game was, "Hi, I'm Filbert and I'm a squirrel." Not only that, but I often see him watering the flowers on my island. He's a good squirrel. A blue squirrel, and blue is my second favorite color. But yeah, that's why Filbert is my favorite. Now on to the next character. So, interesting fact, Pooh has actually been my favorite a lot longer than the other characters in this video. Pooh made his debut in the Winnie the Pooh book series on October 14th, 1926. Yep, that's right, Pooh turns 100 this year. In addition, Pooh made his Disney debut in 1966, and his first movie was 1977. Yep, that's a lot of stuff. Pooh even has a Tsum Tsum. I hope they make a Pooh 100 Tsum Tsum. So how was I introduced to Pooh? Well, unfortunately, I don't really have a story for that. You see, I've known Pooh since I was a baby. I've seen pictures of my old room from when I was a baby, and there's quite a bit of Pooh stuff there. Some stuff I still have. So I was way too young to remember how I was introduced to him. But to me, Pooh is a friend who's always there for you. So why is Pooh my favorite? Well, as I mentioned, Pooh's been my favorite for as long as I can remember. Not only that, but he's a favorite to my family as well. Whenever I watch one of the movies or shows, I just feel happy when I watch them. I even have a few decorations in my room and my studio that I feel happy to see them as well. Like, there's just something with the stories that puts a smile on your face. So Pooh is a very special character to me. Well, I talked about the character that's been my favorite the longest, now I'll talk about the character that's been my favorite the shortest. But Coral made her debut in Paw Patrol on November 12th, 2022. She was made specifically for the Aquapup series, which is my favorite one they've done. Coral is a merpup, a mermaid puppy that is, who lives in Puplantis with the other merpups. She is also Sky's cousin, which is also why she looks a lot like her. I don't think she'll be in the show again, but I've seen Rex come back a couple of times and maybe Coral would want to visit her cousin, so who knows. Anyway, my introduction to Coral was back when I used to be on Instagram. I remember seeing screenshots and fan art of her and I remember thinking, whoa, new character. The thing with Paw Patrol is that since it's a Canadian show, episodes will premiere in Canada first and premiere in America at a later time. So there was probably a chance that the Aquapups episode was already playing in Canada when I saw those pictures. But I do remember watching the first Aquapup episode on January of 2022. Once I saw Coral in the show, she became an instant favorite. But why is she my favorite? Well, for one thing, she's cute. Oh, who am I kidding? All these characters are cute. One of the first things we see her do in the first Aquapups episode is sing a song. I remember smiling when watching that. Plus, she has a cool design, and the design is very different compared to the other Paw Patrol characters. She has a bunch of aqua blue swirly things on her ears, and she has 2 different eye colors, and they make a gradient, and she even wears a necklace. Coral is also a somewhat mysterious character. In the first Aquapups episode, it's explained how she used to live on land, but now she lives under the sea with the merpups, but why though? And how is she able to change into a regular puppy and a merpup at any time, while the others have to wait for the magic mermoon to change into merpups? So many questions. But yeah, Coral is a cool character. On to the next one. Do you have a situation where you like a character, but you don't really like the show or the game that the character is from? Well, for me, that would be Sparky. I mean, I used to like Atomic Betty, but lately, I just don't really watch it anymore. I haven't been liking it the same way I used to. Anyway, let's talk about the character. Sparky made his debut on August 29th, 2004 in a show called Atomic Betty. He is one of the 3 main characters from the show. The main characters are part of a group called the Galactic Guardians. They travel to different planets to help others and stop bad guys and stuff like that. I feel like how I was introduced to Sparky was 2 different things. I think the first time I've heard of the show was when we went to a thrift store once and found a bag of Viewmaster discs. 3 of those were Atomic Betty discs. But I really remember watching the show for the first time when it played on the Hub. I know it's called Discovery Family now, but it will always be the Hub to me. Anyway, while Filbert and Coral became instant favorites, Sparky became my favorite after watching a couple episodes of the show. So why is he my favorite? Well, to be honest, he's the only interesting character from the show, in my opinion. I didn't seem that interested in the other characters as much, and I think Sparky was really the only reason I was continuing to watch the show. But if you like any of the other characters from the show, then good for you. We all have different opinions, and that's okay. But the reason Sparky became my favorite is because he's just a silly guy, you know? He does a lot of funny stuff in the show. He also gets excited over different things very easily. Like, I remember one episode where the main trio visits an ocean or something, and Sparky wanted to go surfing, and he was so excited that he zoomed off to go get a surfboard. Another thing is that I like his design. Yeah, I like a lot of these characters' designs, but Sparky has a unique design. It's not a usual alien design, and it's very different. I think his blue hair is what makes his design iconic. Well, he's iconic to me. But if there's one thing I've learned from this character is that it's okay to have a favorite character without liking where the character is from. And now the last 2 characters. I feel like at this point, Brighton and Twyla are basically the main 2 of this group. They are to great crossover like Mickey and Minnie are to Disney. But yeah, Brighton and Twyla are a magical sun and moon duo who made their debut on November 18th, 2004 in Mario Party 6. In Mario Party 6, they host the game. They tell you how to play different things, announce the winners, and stuff like that. They also go with the game's day and night theme, which is why they're a sun and moon. Brighton does stuff in the daytime, and Twyla does stuff in the nighttime. Now these 2 are very obscure characters. They are not playable characters and they only appeared in one game. But that's okay because since we don't know a whole lot about them, you can make up your own ideas about them. And I'm sure a lot of you know that I see the 2 as a couple. But anyway, how I was introduced to them was that my sister got Mario Party 6, while I got Mario Party 5 on Christmas Day one year. We played both the games and I remember seeing Brighton and Twyla for the first time on the game's menu. I also remember how they flew over to the area we selected, and I remember thinking, whoa, I guess they do that. I don't know what it was about these characters, but I just found them very interesting. Even now I still do. I actually forgot about them for a while, until I was watching Mario Party videos on YouTube and seeing a few fan arts of the two when I used to be on DeviantArt. Not only did I get back into Mario Party, but I was also reintroduced to Brighton and Twyla once again. So why do I like these very obscure Mario characters? Well, since I'm talking about two characters, I'll talk about Brighton first, then Twyla, and then both. So, what I like about Brighton is, he's a fun and interesting character. If you notice the way he talks in the game, he talks sort of like a cool guy or something, you know what I mean? Like when you stop at his house, he says, "What's up, welcome to my home." He can also be funny at times, like if Bowser shows up in the last 5 turns, Brighton will say "Yowza," and that's kind of funny. He also has a cool design. He has a bunch of very bright colors, and he has all those sun rays around his head that are all different sizes. With those sun rays, you can easily recognize him. I also like the color patterns too. Like, his face is yellow on the left, but red on the right, but his sun rays are the opposite. And you know, Brighton is just a smiley sun. He and Twyla are always smiling. They're always happy to see you play. But yeah, that's what makes him a cool character. Now what I like about Twyla is, she is very sweet and kind. I've mentioned this a couple of times, but one of my most favorite things about the game is when you stop at Twyla's house, and she says that she would normally offer tea to her guest. That's so sweet of her to do that. I've seen so many people say they like Twyla more than Brighton. I like them both the same, but I could see why. Twyla is so sweet, how could anyone not like her? Twyla is also very fancy and elegant. She says a lot of fancy words and phrases, and even wears a fancy blue checker pattern dress. It's because of this I like to draw her in lots of different dresses. Lots and lots of different dresses. Twyla also has a cool design. She is half yellow and half green. Green is one of my favorite colors. So that's 3 characters that have 2 of my most favorite colors. And again, her dress is really cool. Like, they could have given her a dress pattern with like one color on one side and one on the other. I mean, they almost did that. But the checker pattern is much better for her. I also think it's cool how the sleeves on her dress are the opposite colors on the ends. Like, that's so cool. But yeah, Brighton and Twyla are cool in their own ways. But some things I like about both of them, other than their cool designs, is that they're just interesting characters. Why? Because being that they're obscure and sort of forgotten characters, there isn't too much we know about them. And that gives fans of these two potential of coming up with their own ideas about them. That's what I like about these two. How like so many people can come up with different ideas for just these 2 characters. I've even made up some of my own ideas about them as well. Well, there you have it. Now you know why I like these characters. I will admit that it's an unusual selection of characters, but that's what makes the group more interesting. I realized that one thing each character has in common is that they all make me smile real big whenever I see them. Whether they're silly, interesting, or a childhood classic. They're my squad. My fun squad. Anyway, that's all for this video. Are any of these your favorites? If so, which one? Filbert, Pooh, Coral, Sparky, Brighton, Twyla? Have you heard of any of these characters? You can let me know if you want to. Well, thank you for watching. Now go have some fun.